Good day, everyone, and welcome to the UK Africa Fintech Summit. Really excited to be welcoming you all here today. I noticed everybody has been going around to the virtual tables to get to meet each other and have conversations, and that's good. That's what you should be doing. My name is Lami Adekola, and I'm Director for Financial and Professional Services at the UK Department for International Trade here in Africa. And as you've guessed, I'll also be your host for the next 2 days. But a little bit of remarks before I kickstart the events for these 2 days. Fintech, as we all know it, is experiencing an unprecedented boom as an inevitable consequence of lockdowns and restrictions on in-person interactions. This summit aims to further the fintech conversation, showcasing the UK's leadership role in the sector and exploring the burgeoning African fintech ecosystem while identifying potentials for leapfrog. Despite the ongoing efforts to curtail the health challenges the world is facing as a result of the pandemic, it is important that countries begin to strategize towards ensuring economic recovery. The role of the financial and professional services sector in achieving this recovery is ever so important. The UK, with its expansive resources in this sector, remains keen to work with global economies and businesses at this time, and we're ready to partner with Africa to provide the fuel necessary to rebuild. Exactly 2 weeks ago today, we hosted the UK Africa Investment Conference on the first year anniversary of the hugely successful Africa Investment Summit that I held in London in January 2020. At the conference a fortnight ago, UK reiterated its commitment to be the partner of choice to Africa. Despite the pandemic, the deals and commitments made at the Africa Investment Summit last year, what 1.15.4 billion pounds have all survived, and further investment projects have been added to this. This FinTech Summit is one in a series of follow-up events aimed at exploring areas of partnerships between the UK and Africa across key economic sectors. Next week, from the 9th to the 11th of February, we will have Africa 3.0, a UK Tech for Growth initiative, which is a regional tech deep dive aimed at expanding some of the conversations we will have over the next 2 days. I enjoin you to look out for invites and notifications for other follow-up events that we will be having within this quarter. So a little bit about the UK FinTech offer. The financial and professional services sector is indeed a pride of the UK and one of the strong pillars on which our economy stands. The sector is a major employer in the UK with over 2.3 million people employed in financial and related professional services, 2/3 of whom are outside London. The sector represents 10% of the UK GDP, and that's significant, that's massive. London is at the very heart of the global tech transformation and is a hub for fintech and financial services. The UK's capital is Europe's most valuable tech startup ecosystem, valued at over 34 billion. It's home to an incredible pool of world-class talent, with over 44,000 people working specifically in fintech roles in London, and that is more than we have in Silicon Valley and in New York as well. The UK provides a gateway to one of the most exciting and promising fintech consumer markets in the world. Excellent access to customers. The UK is a market leader across almost every fintech verticals you could think of, be it asset management, be it savings and deposits, corporate finance, payments and transfers, loans, insurance, advisory. We offer best-in-class solutions to a global market. Over the course of the next 2 days, you'll be treated to a full bouquet of the UK FinTech offer, and we are eager to cross-pollinate ideas and deepen partnerships between the UK and Africa in this very critical sector. Now a little bit about the African fintech space as well. Africa is definitely ripe with opportunities, with a population of 1.2 billion people and a GDP of 1.9 trillion pounds. I mean, there's no gainstating the fact that Africa is a potential for a tech boom and eco-tech system rejuvenation, as it were. Impressive fintech activity are already occurring across the 4 regions of the continent, with Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and Egypt leading the charge in each of the regions. Digital transformation is a strong component of planning efforts of almost every country across Africa, and this has been accelerated as a result of the pandemic and all that happened in 2020. We've had regulatory soundboxes aimed at keeping pace with financial innovation being launched or currently in design phases across the continent. So we have one in Kenya, Angola, Sierra Leone, Mauritius, Mozambique, Uganda, Nigeria, almost everywhere on the continent. We're beginning to see regulators taking active stances by setting up sandboxes. We've also had fintech hubs springing up across the entire continent itself. In 2020, the South Africa Reserve Bank established a new fintech innovation hub in collaboration with several other government agencies with an intergovernmental fintech working group. Also in 2020, the UK Kenya Tech Hub, in partnership with the Insurance Regulatory Authority in Kenya, the UK Department for International Trade, Tech for Growth, and the UK insurance firm Prudential, launched the Bima Lab, an insurtech program that also has a tech hub component to it. So the UK is already doing a lot in Africa, and FSD Africa, a UK aid-supported specialist development agency, is working to build and strengthen financial markets across sub-Saharan Africa. The FSD network have been working closely with partners and financial authorities in a number of markets across the continent, and with the aim to support evidence-based and informed decisions which are expected to create an enabling regulatory environment for fintech and support the long-term conditions for innovation and investments to thrive, which is what is critical for us to get the sector going. Africa, with its youthful population, is obviously bustling with innovation, and the potential for economic emancipation of the continent can definitely be actualized if we're able to take advantage of the resource we have at our disposal, the youth, the people, the intelligence, and get things going in the fintech space. So basically put, fintech is a gateway for economic emancipation, and the UK is the right partner for Africa to get on that journey towards emancipation of the continent. So we have very, very exciting events and programs packed for you over the next couple of days, and I am excited at the lineup of speakers and panelists that we've been able to put together. We'll hear about the leading role the UK is playing in the global fintech space, with specific focus on our efforts in Africa, and a case study of the multi-award winning M-Pesa solution. We would also hear from our Minister for Investment, Lord Grimstone, who will shed more light on the role of the financial and professional services sector in economic growth. We would also be listening to new ideas on how fintech can be leveraged for good, with a view to improving financial inclusion. Also, our 2 expert panels will discuss and analyze the role of fintech in post-COVID economic recovery, with specific focus on building back better, and also take a look at strategies to expand the ongoing fintech revolution that we're experiencing in Africa. Finally, we will hear about exciting fintech across the UK and Africa, they provide, understanding what they have on offer, and collaboration between both our markets. I encourage you all to immerse yourself in the opportunities this event presents, and utilize this platform as best as you can. As most of you must have realized, we have immense networking opportunities and functionalities on the conferencing platform we're using, and I enjoy you to move around tables, switch on your cameras, network, speak to people, pitch your ideas, understand their own ideas, and basically you'll be meeting with investors, your peers, regulators from across the continent, and take maximum advantage of this over the next 2 days. Before I round up, I want to say a very, very big thank you to everyone who has made this event possible. I want to say thank you to our speakers and panelists. I want to say thank you to my colleagues at our delivery partner, and most importantly, I want to say a very big thank you to all of you who've made it here today, because without you, we would not have an event. So a big thank you to you all. To kickstart proceedings, I will now invite Emma Wade-Smith, OBE, who is our Majesty's Trade Commissioner for Africa, to give our opening remarks. Emma is extremely passionate about Africa, and under her leadership, UK Department for International Trade has made significant advancements towards achieving its vision for the continent. So I'm delighted to have Emma here giving the opening remarks, and I'll hand over straight to Emma. Emma, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Lami, and congratulations to you and the team for pulling together such a terrific sounding program. I have no doubt that that's going to keep us all engaged and enthralled over the next 2 days. And it's my absolute pleasure to be able to welcome everyone to this UK Africa FinTech Summit. As Lami mentioned, today and tomorrow's summit is part of a wider series of events that flow from our Africa Investment Conference just 2 weeks ago. And that will enable us to drill down into the specifics of particular sectoral and market opportunities in Africa. So here we have the chance to really focus in on fintech and explore the prospects of African fintech, and indeed to showcase the UK's offer across the sector. And I really do hope that you will find this virtual venue an excellent place to explore new partnerships and develop ideas and projects. So the UK has placed development and adoption of financial services at the heart of our international development agenda. And we've done this because we believe that access to financial services is the foundation stone upon which we can build a more sustainable and inclusive future, and through which actually we can deliver on a significant number of the Sustainable Development Goals. But you know, I represent the Department for International Trade, so we also recognise that innovative solutions that really do deepen access to financial services will not only have those really crucial developmental benefits,
Hello, everyone. With almost everything tech related, there is always room for tech connectivity issues and stuff. So it seems Emma is having tech issues at the moment, and try to give us some time to reconnect. But basically, Emma's point is one and the same with what my point was, which is the UK is keen and ready to partner with the continent to basically expand the potential in the fintech space, and the opportunities available are immense. And that's what we need to do over the next couple of days. What those opportunities are, to see what partners exist in this event, and I mean there are over 1,300 registered attendees that plan on attending over the 2 days, and the expectation is we go out there both from the UK and Africa and connect and understand what solutions are on offer, understand how we could best work together and take advantage of the potential that we have. So that's our plan over the next 2 days. And I would also want to talk a little bit more about what we should look out for as well. So today we will be showcasing 14 different fintech businesses from both the UK and Africa, and they're across all of the fintech verticals. So I saw a pretty interesting company from Nigeria, basically offering a solution that has to do with aggregating SMEs and providing shared services to these SMEs all as one. Also, we've had a company from Tunisia as well, offering a unique payment solution that would benefit the entire continent, especially in this era of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So we're keen about the offerings of Africa itself, but most importantly, we're also happy to showcase what the UK brings to the table as we go on. So pending when Emma joins, okay, Lucy's here.
Hi, Lami. It seems that Emma's still having connectivity issues. I think it might be an issue with her Wi-Fi. So I think what we should do is move on to Chris, and then once Chris is finished, we can maybe see if Emma has gone back.
Totally happy to move on to Chris. So I am delighted to invite Chris to give a speech. Chris is Chief Executive of M-Pesa and works with Vodacom. M-Pesa is a unique story that we're proud of as the UK, and both the UK private sector and UK government. And Chris will shed a little bit more light on the fintech space globally, but concentrate more on the M-Pesa story and possibilities of us replicating this story going forward. So Chris, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lami. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you are, I guess, across Europe and Africa. Let me share my screen with you. Great, hopefully you can all see that now. Excellent. So great, it's great to be here. I'm very excited to be part of this, especially as a British person working and living in South Africa and spending a lot of time prior to COVID across the continent. I'd like to tell you a bit this morning about the story of M-Pesa. It'll be very familiar to some of you. I'll try and tell it in a different way. But I'd also really like to put it in the context of what's happening globally in the fintech space and also in Africa. And I think there are some real insights from that. So if we go global view of fintech, this is just one simple anatomy of it that I found. Whether you're looking at robo-advisors offering wealth products to people that could have never accessed them before, whether you're looking at digital banks making current accounts that are faster, cheaper, better, more cross-border friendly, whether you're looking at payments companies who are making it easier than ever for small merchants and micro merchants to do business digitally, or remittance companies who are bringing down radically the cost of sending money overseas. I think the thing that these players have in common is that they're all building on existing payments infrastructure, existing customer data, which has been increasingly opened up in recent years. And through that, they're really democratizing access to the next wave of advanced digital financial services. Now, if we look at the African fintech space, I think in the last few years, the African fintech ecosystem has become serious and it's growing incredibly fast. Today, there are more than 650 African fintechs supported by a huge network of hubs and accelerators across the continent. You can see from the map, this is no longer just in a few hotspots. It's really becoming a Pan-African phenomenon. And they're supported also by a huge amount of investment coming from all kinds of directions. I think what's really happened in the last 12 to 18 months has been very heightened global interest in the African fintech space. I think some of the deals you can see on the right-hand side really prove that point. And we're seeing also many more partnerships between African fintech players and global companies. And the value just over the last 2 years, and I think that 2020 wasn't such a busy year in the M&A space because of coronavirus. But if you look at 2019 and 2020 combined, there was well over $1 billion of fintech deals being done in Africa and investment into these kinds of companies. So how did we get here, and where is the African fintech ecosystem going? I think those are questions that all of us want to understand better. I'd like to try and answer it today a little bit through the story of M-Pesa. To begin that, I'm going to rewind 15, 16 years before any of this started, before fintech was even a thing that any of us talked about. And there was a guy I'm going to refer to at Vodafone Group called Nick Hughes, who you may know of, who's become a very successful serial entrepreneur since being involved in the start of M-Pesa. And he observed a few things on his travels into the Vodafone African markets, Vodacom markets, I should say. Firstly, that whether you're looking at microfinance groups, which are really taking off, or people sending remittances across the country, they were still almost entirely cash-based. So literally, if someone in a city wanted to send money back to their parents every month, say to pay for a sibling's school fees, they were literally doing things like putting envelopes of cash into the hands of taxi and bus drivers and saying, you know, here's some money, here's $5 for you to take it to the village. At the same time, there was an explosion in mobile connectivity happening across Africa, which I think now is pretty, you know, the infrastructure is there in terms of connectivity. And even people in rural areas, you can see from the photo I put in, were, you know, getting mobile phones and charging them from car batteries and finding all kinds of ways to make sure that they could ride on this wave of connectivity. So Nick and others at Vodafone started to think more seriously about the opportunity to actually use Vodafone's mobile infrastructure to start to digitize some of these payments and transfers, which were done at great cost and inconvenience using hard cash. They submitted a proposal to the Department for International Development, to DFID in the UK, and they I think in a visionary way, agreed some funding to seed the project. And then they also agreed with Michael Joseph, who was the CEO of Safaricom, our sister company, which we own about a third of at the time, to do a pilot in Kenya. And that was really the genesis of M-Pesa. M-Pesa launched in 2007, following a couple of years of experimentation, and basically launched to offer a much better way of sending money domestically. Now, I want to begin let's go back to the customer. And ultimately, all of this has to start with the customer and what they need. In markets like Kenya at the time, very few people had bank accounts, around 10%. And to digitize these kind of payments was no mean feat. You had to meet a number of very challenging customer needs. I'll start with trust. Persuading a customer who's always used cash to start using digital currency is incredibly difficult. Perhaps if I tried to persuade some of you today to use some of the more, let's say, exotic cryptocurrencies out there, you might feel similar. Why should I trust this? Why should I use it? What is it? How do I get my money in? How do I get it out? What's going to happen? Is this who's behind this, and are they someone I can trust? Second, accessibility. So it has to be nearby, and that's a lot of the reason why banks weren't being used by most people in these markets, because they weren't able to travel to get to a bank branch or an ATM easily. Usability, it needed to be available to someone with quite basic levels of literacy and who wasn't familiar with using any kind of digital services before. And affordability, it had to be cheap, it had to be simple to understand the pricing. So the M-Pesa model was designed to address all of these customer needs. Firstly, our deep network coverage, which was growing and growing and is now more or less ubiquitous, means that we can reach customers even in rural areas. But mobile phone masts don't digitize cash. You need something else. That's where our agents come in. And many of you have probably seen mobile money agents. These are typically kind of mom and pop stores or local street vendors who act basically as a bank branch for M-Pesa. So you can go to an agent, and with a simple form of ID, you can get an account, and then you can put money in at the agent or take money out. But the quality of the agents is crucial. So we've worked very hard with M-Pesa to make sure that our agents are in good locations, that they're people who are trusted by their community, that they're businesses that can manage the cash side of it to ensure that they always can accept deposits and facilitate withdrawals. And I think most importantly, they actually play a huge role in building trust. So our agents are the main people that spend time with the customer, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, talking them through how M-Pesa works when they're not familiar with it, or talking them through how to use a new product or service. Combined with that, we've invested massively in customer awareness and education, and we still, across all of our markets, but invest a lot in this to ensure that customers know about our latest products and services. When I look at the usability side, M-Pesa, I think a key success factor has been what we call USSD. Just think of it as text menu. Basically, nearly all of our customers have used M-Pesa on a USSD menu. And the great thing about that is that it will work on any mobile phone, and it's very simple to use. And customers are already familiar with using USSD for some of the airtime services that they were using. Coupled with that, in the background, although we have a very simple front end that we launched with M-Pesa, we coupled that with a banking grade platform, and we've invested as Vodafone Group and Safaricom collectively, I think well over $100 million into the M-Pesa platform. It's really a phenomenal platform, and when you look at the number of transactions it handled this Christmas, which was our busy period, it's quite phenomenal. And we have to, of course, ensure that the platform is always stable, is incredibly reliable. And then finally, on affordability, M-Pesa is pay as you go. It's radically different from banking services where you pay typically fixed fees to have an account, especially in Africa where accounts can be quite expensive still. You only pay when you send money. And I think also linked to this, money's never pulled from your account. You have to push it. So that also helps to build customer trust. So this was our recipes for success, which was launched in Kenya in 2007. And I think you'll know the history. It's been incredibly successful in Kenya. I think what's less well known is that the success that's been replicated across many other markets. So I'll start with M-Pesa. I'm responsible for the 5 other M-Pesa markets. So not Kenya. We own about a third of Safaricom. So we work very closely with Safaricom, but it's kind of a separate business. But I oversee M-Pesa in markets like Tanzania, the DRC, Mozambique, Lesotho, and Ghana. Collectively, those markets now represent almost half of the M-Pesa customer base. So we have well over 40 million active M-Pesa customers today, and growing very quickly. Those customers are supported by today over 500,000 active agents. So if you think about the reach we have, it's absolutely on a different scale compared to, say, banks or money transfer operators in our markets. M-Pesa is really ubiquitous. And if I like to think, if you travel around most of our markets, you'll see more M-Pesa signs on shops than you will see Coca-Cola logos. Last year, we did 12 billion transactions. To put it in context, that's more than PayPal globally. And that's just in 6 markets. And that equates to €500 million per day, roughly, of transaction value. So M-Pesa has become really, really scaled and continues to grow in high double digits every year. But M-Pesa isn't alone. M-Pesa, I think, set the template for how mobile money could grow in many other African markets. And according to the GSMA, there are more than 180 million live mobile money services across the African continent today, operated, collectively with more than 180 million active customers, which is a significant portion of the African adult population. And collectively, there were at least 24 billion mobile money transactions in 2019. I'm sure the number's quite a bit higher for 2020. So you can see the scale of M-Pesa and other mobile money players, and particularly how we've revolutionized money transfer. But that's not where we've stopped. Since launching as primarily a money transfer play, we've really expanded into a much broader range of products. So in the core, what I call core services and money transfer, it's no longer a closed loop. You have to have an M-Pesa account to send or receive money on M-Pesa. we now have very widespread interoperability in all of our markets, whether it's with banks, so you can send or receive money to or from a bank account, or with other mobile money wallets. In Tanzania, there are 5 different mobile money wallets. International money transfer, we're connected now to hundreds of different corridors and partners to enable, whether it's someone in the UK to send money back to Tanzania, or someone in Kenya who's doing business in Tanzania and they need to send a business payment. In the enterprise space, we enable all kinds of companies, small and large, as well as government departments and NGOs to make and disperse and receive payments using M-Pesa. And then on the back of all of this, not only payment rails, but also customer data that we've built now. We now have financial records for our customers, and that allows us to do things like credit scoring, to offer financial services such as overdrafts and loans, not only to individuals, but also to groups. So in Africa, the micro saving groups are huge, micro credit groups are huge, and we've offered now products that help to digitize that for customers, so they no longer have to travel back to their village to give cash in hand every month into their micro savings group. Also for agents and merchants who need to expand and grow their business, we're offering things like working capital loans, as well as more innovative products like device financing, so that customers can get a new smartphone on the basis of their M-Pesa credit history. Looking forward, we'll also be doing more things like micro insurance and micro wealth on our platform. And then finally, mobile commerce. I think this is the hardest area to digitize. This is replacing cash for daily face-to-face payments, going to the shops, buying food and things like that, as well as online shopping. This has been slower to drive, but today we have more than 200,000 active merchants on M-Pesa, and it's growing very quickly. So this is an area we're really focusing on at the moment. And not only looking at the payment and how you digitize that, that's the easy part. The challenging part is more creating the right incentives for the customer to want to pay with a digital payment means, and for the merchant to want to receive digital payment. And that's all about helping the merchant to build their business and allowing customers access to better prices, to special offers, or to credit so that they can do more. So I think you've seen hopefully enough of the M-Pesa story now. I just want to go to the bottom line, and we are very passionate about not just the financial contribution that M-Pesa now makes to Vodacom Group and to Vodafone, our parent company, but also the socioeconomic contribution. So the Jameel Poverty Action Lab, which is part of MIT, has been doing longitudinal household surveys for about 10 years in some of our markets. And they've discovered very compelling evidence that M-Pesa helps users to save more. It protects them from poverty, especially by allowing them to mobilize a social safety net when they get some kind of a financial shock, like an illness. They can quickly mobilize funding from family and friends. Because of that increased social safety net that it's enabled, more people, especially women, have been confident enough and had the financial resilience to start their own businesses. And on top of that, we're obviously we're not employing our agents, I should say, that they're independent businesses, but we're enabling over 500,000 agents to do business, and many other businesses use M-Pesa and have huge savings. There are more than 20,000 companies, government departments and NGOs now that use M-Pesa and get big savings compared to using cash. So for Vodacom Group, M-Pesa is now nearly 20% of our revenue in these markets, and that's been growing at about 30%. So last financial year, 220 million euros of revenue. In Safaricom, which has been active on M-Pesa for longer, it's now a third of Safaricom's revenue, and that's still growing quickly. And collectively, we're almost €1 billion business. Just want to come to the COVID crisis. And I think like most African fintechs and mobile money players, this has really resulted in a huge acceleration in M-Pesa. So we responded in many ways to the coronavirus crisis in our markets. In most markets, we made P2P transfers free, and we also reduced our pricing on some other products. We've worked very hard around the clock to make sure that our agents stay operational, because without agents, most of our customers can't use M-Pesa. And we, as part of that, we've provided things like free hand washing materials, so literally kind of tanks of water and soap and stools, so that customers and agents can wash their hands when they're doing cash deposits and withdrawals. And we've also had a huge focus on accelerating some of the key payments that need to be made in these COVID times, like medical payments and social grants. As a result, there's been a huge growth in M-Pesa usage, especially things like P2P transfers, bill payments and medical payments, and also face-to-face merchant payments, where people are becoming increasingly wary of using and handling cash. Linked to that, we've seen a big increase in customer balances. And also, I think we're very proud to have supported organizations like the World Bank and the UN, different UN agencies, as well as our local governments, in distributing relief funding to around 1 million households across our markets, particularly the most vulnerable during these difficult economic times. Our vision for M-Pesa, which we're executing today, is to become a unified open fintech platform. And just to quickly underline what I mean, unified, not 6 different M-Pesa platforms in 6 different countries, but one M-Pesa, one platform, one set of products and services, for global partners, one integration, and one contract, one settlement account. An open platform. So, you know, really, as fintechs have been enabled by open APIs, we're also part of that shift in Africa. So we've been launching open APIs in all of our markets. Very soon we'll have a single open API gateway for all M-Pesa markets. So with one integration, you'll be able to send money to all of our markets or collect payment from all of our markets. On top of that, we're not just opening up payment rails, but also things like customer data with consent. So credit scoring, we've worked with FICO, which is the biggest credit score provider in the US, to enable a 40-dimensional M-Pesa credit score. So if a customer wants to look for a loan, then they can go onto our digital marketplace and access potentially hundreds of providers who have got access to those APIs and are willing to offer and design very innovative products for those customers. And then fintech, I think that's underscored by a lot of this, but you know, moving into the cloud and also having a super app, not just being a USSD menu service, but also having best-in-class apps. And we were recently voted the best fintech app in Kenya and Tanzania. We've made a huge amount of investment into our apps and also other forms of digital portals and marketplaces, so that customers are able to navigate an increasingly broad range of products and services on M-Pesa. So I think that's the end of what I wanted to share with you about the M-Pesa story. I think to close, just a few comments. As you've seen, Africa has really built its own payments infrastructure. And mobile money has been a crucial part of that, in enabling customers that are far beyond the reach of bank branches and ATMs to still be part of the formal financial economy. And I think it's a leapfrogging story in a similar way to how mobile networks leapfrogged fixed networks in Africa. This infrastructure has leapfrogged much of the traditional infrastructure that exists in places like Europe or the US. So the infrastructure is there, but it's evolved in a very different way. However, now that infrastructure is there, we have payment rails and customer data, and there's huge opportunity to accelerate innovation in the fintech space. And so we're seeing now, you know, a massive acceleration in African fintechs locally, but also, I think, a very strong increasing convergence. So we are currently partnering with many of the big names in global fintech, and I'm sure we're not alone in that. I think there are increasing opportunities for companies based in the UK and other developed markets to partner with players like M-Pesa to enable cross-border payments and remittances, and even white labeling of some of the capabilities that they've developed for other markets. So I think that's where I'll close, and I think Lami will take you through to the next part of the agenda. I just want to say finally, thank you very much for your time, and look forward to some conversations around the tables after this.
Thank you so very much, Chris. And I was intrigued listening to the M-Pesa story, even though I've heard it before, but it felt brand new. And one thing I could take up from it was the multiplier effect of the investment you've made, and being able to diversify into other subsectors as a result of that one singular investment to e-payment. Africa is more or less like a gift that keeps giving and giving and giving, and M-Pesa is one good example. And we in the UK government are proud of the support we've given to get this going, and we're also proud of the work that Vodafone has done in making this happen. Thank you so very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Emma is back with us, thankfully, and I will be inviting Emma to come deliver a speech. Hopefully, we could pick up from where she left off. So, Emma, thank you. Welcome back. Over to you.
Great. Thank you, Lami. And my apologies. In 10 months, this is the first time that I have been affected directly while doing a live so look, I think what we've heard from Chris is just so inspiring, and I think really helps to set the context for our conversations. And indeed, it's very appropriate. I think what I was saying, possibly just before I was dropped off the system, was that actually, you know, we are experiencing this fintech boom here in Africa. And Chris talked us through some of those fundamentals as to why fintech has taken off, and indeed why we think the boom is going to continue. So, you know, 1.3 billion people and a continuing growing population for the years ahead. By 2050, in just 30 years' time, 1 in 4 consumers living on the planet will be living in Africa. That's a sizable consumer market by anyone's standards. And of course, the opportunities and the growth potential are immense. So 60% of adults in sub-Saharan Africa don't currently have access to traditional financial services, including banking and insurance. And as we've heard from Chris there about the power of telephony, you know, over half of adult Africans now own a smartphone and have access to 3G signal. So where we're seeing those improved internet penetration rates and we're seeing increased mobile connectivity, that is both enabling and underpinning the adoption and the expansion of fintech. And so I think, you know, what we see here is an unprecedented opportunity for technology to expand across to financial services. And although the fight to defeat the COVID-19 pandemic has exacted a horrible toll on so many individuals, families, communities and businesses, it's also sparked a dramatic leap forward in terms of the take-up and prospects for expanding fintech. That is very welcome indeed. I think it's also really important to note the creativity and the wealth of Africa's entrepreneurs, and that's changing the landscape for business and for consumers. And we hope that we'll be doing that in partnership with entrepreneurs and businesses across the African continent. So deepening access to financial services does require a whole team effort, and I think the programme for this event really reflects that. So, you know, businesses and financial communities have their part to play, including in figuring out how do you overcome the historic barriers to entry that we've faced in many emerging markets. And government also needs to step up and step in, and sometimes step back, both to establish and apply the legislation and the regulation and the tax environment that enables and inspires the take-up of services and the development of innovations. In the case of the UK government, we believe we've created an environment where financial services and innovation flourish, and we're really supporting the development
Seems Emma is not holding up today because we've lost her again. But I think it would be best we go on to the next agenda item, which is us taking a 5-minute networking break. And basically, in these 5 minutes, try and go to as many tables as possible, get to meet the people on the tables. You could get into a table by on that table and just turn on your cameras, turn on your mics, and you'll be able to speak with other people on the table. Introduce yourself, introduce what you do, introduce what you're seeking to achieve from this conference and summit. And I would also be running around different tables just to pop in and make sure the conversations are going. So a big thank you to Chris and Emma for the parts that we could hear, and catch you guys later when we get back to the networking sessions. The events will start immediately after 5 minutes, so don't go anywhere. We'll come back live on stage in 5 minutes. Thank you.